All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Calcioteers. We have an action-packed episode for you today. Pretty good episode as all of our teams have won. I'm feeling that there's been kind of a, a pattern that our teams are just two of them winning or three of the, or like all of them are losing or whatever like that. And I was hoping that Genoa would tie with Juve so we can see Francesco just flip a bowl of pasta in anger. But it didn't happen. But I mean, good on Juve for winning. And again, looks like Genoa's kind of high end kind of tie scrappy matches were it was meant to come to an end. So hopefully it doesn't become a big pattern in that, but we'll see what happens with there. So when it comes to the games, uh, it's not really too much to talk about with the Milan Parma game. Obviously, Milan looking good coming into it. The red card though, like, meh, really, like, did that really have to happen? Not really. Um, I think that was, yeah, like I said, you guys agree that was a pretty much
Yeah,
easy game for
the
Milan.
only reason he was sent off is because he's Ibrahimovic. If anybody else had done
Exactly.
that, it would have been a yellow card. I don't even
Yeah,
know what he said,
exactly.
but he probably didn't say anything. He would have had to say something really crazy for it to be straight red.
Yeah, exactly. So, and before we continue, uh, Elliot here, I call him Mr. Hollywood now. His his stat that he brought up last episode, which is going to be releasing soon as well, was featured on Italian Football TV. And when I saw it, I was like, "Look at this guy!" I'm like, "Can I get your autograph?" Um, if people don't know, if Ellie want to explain it again, the stat with Mister My supposedly
So
hero.
okay,
That
so just to give some backstory, I have another podcast with an Inter fan, and we've been just talking about all the games, and the conversation that keeps coming up is what's wrong with Immobile? Why isn't he scoring? And then last week or the week before that, I basically went on my phone and I calculated using a calculator the amount of minutes he had not scored in.
yeah.
And I was stunned because it's almost like a month. It's actually like 2 months of play, and I'm like, and after I tweeted at Italian Football TV not to cheer for Roma last week. I kind of softened. Not that me and Italian Football TV had any bad blood with each other. It was more One Direction because some of the stuff that they had done in the past that bothered me, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, they'll probably not do it, but I could use because since my old Instagram account got deleted back in November, I want to get my followers back up. So I just hit them up and said, I don't know if you know this, but Kira Mole has not scored for 600 plus minutes, something like that. You can use it as a post if you want, but I'm just letting you know. And then
Royalties,
what's
royalties,
that?
people. If you use the post, he demands royalties. You're getting a piece of that. You get
And
a percentage.
then they tagged me in it, which I wasn't expecting them to do. I thought they were just gonna use my shit, and I wouldn't even care because it's like cool. They use my little stat. Anyway, so they tagged me in the post, and I gained a lot of followers. And my posts, at least since that day, the amount of likes, not that I care because it really doesn't matter to me, to a certain extent, are like higher than before. But it was very nice of them to do it because even though I disagree with some of the stuff that they do, they are just like football fans, like all of us, and I think we all appreciate the platform they created. That doesn't mean I'm not going to take issue with them in the future, but I felt that was a very cool thing to do, and I'm pretty sure it was Marco who does it because I think,
Yeah.
but I just think that he runs the whole damn thing, and the other ones are just kind of like side pieces, just because he seems always in control
Yeah.
of whatever they're doing. But that was
Oh
No,
yeah.
quite
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
yeah, from what I know Marco is like, I guess, like the face, you could say, and
Yeah,
they have like a good team around them, like that, like a lot of people don't even know. Like they have like so many guys behind the scenes that like
yeah,
Yeah, I
run
mean,
like
like this.
certain
This is
things.
like
So
this. This is Mike. I've said this before too. It's like more like we've all agreed that Marco called the shots. This is Mike. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lazio. One week's Lazio. 1 week's Inter. 1 week's Milan. Like we can't
it's
even.
they're
Yeah,
great. Don't get me wrong, and again, I'm not going to take more shots at them because
yeah,
they didn't need to do that. I really do appreciate it,
yeah.
but they're very PR like. They run their
exactly,
page
yeah,
a
yeah.
certain
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bring this one more time. When Ronaldo became the scored his 50 goals in Serie A, it was 50 in Serie A, 50 in
La Liga and Premier
La
League.
Liga, and 50 in the Premier League. It's
They didn't say
basically
Dzeko, yeah.
yeah. So the whole thing is he was the second player ever to after Dzeko to have 50 league goals in 3 different leagues, and they could have just said that, but instead they removed
They
one
worded,
country
yeah, they
from
worded
the
it,
statement
yeah.
to make it
Yeah.
sound like he was the first ever to do. I just didn't like it, and it's not just because I'm a Roma fan. It's like you're telling the truth, but you're like smudging it a little.
Yeah, they twisted it a little.
And when there was a Roma Juve game at the beginning of the year, they usually post stuff about both teams or whatever, or one team or the other. And when Ronaldo scored, they posted a graphic, but when Roma scored, they didn't. And people argue, oh well, they didn't, they weren't ready for it. Jordan takes Roma's penalties. You can't tell me they don't have like a graphic for Jordan. But anyway, no, they're good guys and stuff like that. But again, it is very PR like. And again, if I had their platform, I'd probably be doing the same thing. I'd probably be, if Lazio were having a great weekend, I'd just like put it off to the side and make it seem like not important. But obviously, there's the teams that they like: Atalanta, Juventus, Inter.
They're all over Atlanta.
Yep.
It is not Gasperini like fanboys, except for Antonio, which I'm gonna say we should. Okay, obviously this page is fairly new and we're gonna have time to grow and stuff like that. Once we hit a reasonable number, we should DM Antonio and get him on here. Antonio,
Because
forget
Antonio.
The funny thing,
give it F.
the funny thing about Antonio is based on the stuff he says, you would think he's just fucking stupid, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. But if you just break down the stuff he says and what happens throughout the season, a lot of the stuff he says, he even though he sounds stupid, he's actually really kind of bang on.
Yeah, and he backs it up all the time too. Like he always like says like
Yeah.
so many facts to make it like sound true. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's our kind of mark. We should have him as one of our guests coming soon, and it just be hilarious, just like a hoot fest. Because like again, he's a guy with no like. He's just a glorified no fan. Like just no filter. He's straight to the point, straight shooter, and a Milan fan. So again, to add the mix of a Lazio fan, Roma fan, Juve fan, and Inter fan, he's gonna be all over Francesco. Like what? He's gonna,
I had my fair share. I remember when
is the stuff he did for the Manscaped ad.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, so watch out for that, guys. We're coming soon.
No, I remember back in the day when IFTV like first opened their WhatsApp group, and like I joined it, and it was Antos just sending like he would say like, oh, like my name, like I support Juventus, whatever, and then Anto like sent me a voice recording like just talking shit about Juve because Juve were playing Milan that week, and it was just hilarious.
Yeah. So it's that would kind of open up a lot of eyes and ears, definitely for sure, for this show, just to get him on here, just for him to talk all the footy and smack all he wants.
Plus, I provided them with a stat that they didn't know about.
There you go. Again, royalty, guys.
Again, anybody could have done it. I was just smart enough to calculate.
Yeah, exactly. With a calculator. All right, guys. Again, we're very lucky to have Elliot part of our squad here, and for him to do that stat just blew my pants off. Like literally, I knew Immobile was dry, but not that dry. So when we talk to the games here, Spezia, Crotone, guys, yet again we have they lost. Whatever, that's fine. We know they're gonna go to the B, but we have a Crotone side again that's not giving up. Like I don't know what they're giving these guys in the locker room. If it's espresso and Red Bulls or biscotti and Nutella, like these guys, like I'm more curious of them. It's like, okay, like, maybe next season they'll go to the B, they'll get promoted again. But maybe when they come back to the A, it's like, okay.
Like a Benevento story.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be hard without Simeon. I think the other guy, Messiah, is probably going to leave too.
Simi's definitely going to go to somewhere like Sassuolo or
I think Fiorentina.
Like
I think
Fiorentina, that would be good.
I think Vlahovic. So I think Vlahovic and Bellotti are both leaving. One's going to Roma. One's going to. Whoever gets one, the other is going to get the other. That's my theory on it.
Yeah, that's fair too.
they're going to be an absence of a striker, and I think Simi will be relatively cheap. I think as good as he's been this season, I don't think he's going to be worth like 40. I think it's a 25 million max.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect deal for Fiorentina to try to scoop him up, put him in that system, and
especially if Vlahovic leaves.
Right, and they're gonna need some stuff, but that would be a perfect signing for Fiorentina or Verona or Sassuolo or one of those boys.
Yeah, and it's not a player that the so-called great president of Fiorentina, Mr. Rocco Rompomuther, he's not going to be spending or wasting money on a over 30 player that's just for the name. You know what I mean? Like I said, like the Riberies or the Boatengs or stuff like that. Nothing against those guys, but again, it's like, hey, you're a club that's want to be in the top 10 or top 5, whatever. Stop spending your money on these older players are only good for a season or two. So I think Simi, again, good choice on the Fiorentina. I think he's going to do well there. Carino making not really much of
that game was so boring though. Good God.
Yeah, it was.
I wanted to kill myself watching that game.
Yeah, it was. I switched it a couple times to be brutally honest. Like I tried so hard to, like, even my father-in-law. He's a Udinese. He's a fan and he's from there and stuff like that. Udine region, whatever. And he was like, "What the hell is going on?" And he knows of the Torino situation. He's like, okay, I'll accept the fact that Udinese lost, but like, it was like watching paint dry. Like, it was just so boring.
There were a few games, at least the last couple of weeks, that have just been terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Crotone game and the Lanta game saved, the weekend because it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah, well, the Inter and Cagliari one, like, I was hoping more goals. Like, I get it, they had the win, and Conte's happy and everything like that. But like, I was hoping, the boys would just kind of push up more. You know what I mean? Like, and it's someone, Diamante scored, like someone who's not really a goal scorer, is a fullback and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat to see him score. But at the same time, it's like, like, we're so used to seeing Lukaku and everyone else just kind of banging the goals from there. So I was like, it is what it is. It's same with the Lazio one. Like, I mean, Lazio were known for 90th plus minute wonder goals and stuff like that.
Caicedo mainly.
Exactly. And it's funny. And I said this to Ellie before we got on here. This is before Francesco came on here too. It's funny. Savic will have a couple good games here and there, whatever. And the second he'll score a goal or two out of the blue, boom, Manchester United, PSG, Juventus. You're like, everybody's on this guy. And it's like, I don't hate it, but at the same time, it's annoying. It's like, guys, where were you when he's like, being that team player, being that guy that you need, instead of, oh my God, he scored a goal. Oh, Man United are all over him again. They're going to spend gajillion dollars. So, like, you guys feel that that's kind of, it's getting too carried away now with these players. It's like with the transfer rumors and stuff like that. Like, I know, Ellie, you mentioned before on your episodes when I came on, you rather have, bought Luis Roberto rather than, spend the big money in Savic. Even though Savic is a good player, right?
No, Savic is great, and I think
he's great.
If Man United were able to pull it off, it'd be so good for Man United and for the Premier League, because with all due respect, Man City is like 150 points clear, and you got West Ham in the Champions League spot. I'm sorry, and I used to enjoy it more than I do now. But if you have a team that's just obscure team in the Champions League, it says something about your league. You know what I mean? So it's not a good look, even though that's an amazing story. I think the stats of Savic are incredible, but I think regardless of what if you throw the stats away and you just watch your midfielders play, I think Alberto's clearly the better one. And when you have these really tough games, he always seems to show up in those big ones. And again, I'm not counting Verona as a big game. It was only a big game because you scored late. But in like the games against the top six, he's the one who's kind of pushing the envelope. And Roma's not, and Lazio don't do business with each other, but of the two, if you just from a neutral perspective, I think Alberto's more compelling, and I think he offers more. But Savic has a bigger name, and his physical body type is very compelling. Like if he was like shorter or not as physically imposing, his transfer price would be way lower. But I don't think they're both great. But I think Alberto's just does a little bit more for me. And again, he doesn't have the stats, so people don't care. But he just, I think he just does more. But it's with Savic, you're always going to get this, and it's kind of this mentality where like you got to prepare for the departure even when you don't know what's coming. Again, I've mentioned this practically every episode. It's the same reason I'm not married to the Zaniolo thing. When he leaves and everybody's crying on Twitter, I'm gonna say, what did you expect? You know what I mean? And it's just, I think for you guys and for other teams who have a really diamond in their team, it's about maximizing that player as much as you possibly can and trying to get as much when that happens. Now, if there's a player that's born into your system, born into your academy, graduates, and then plays for the first team, much more likely to stay long term because they don't have the ambition to go further. And so with people like that, I think it's like he's been great for you for the amount of time he's been there. And now that his value is going up, and this could be just BS, but if it's not, just try to get as much money as you can. And you bought him. I don't know how much you bought him for. I don't even know where he came from, but not for much. So you can get another guy like that just easily. So just about trying to get as much cash flow as you want from that situation.
We're known for that. I know Juve. They're known for they're smart in the sense of with the free transfers. Right? Yeah, they got a long list and stuff like that. We're more in the aspect of finding some random kid, building them up, and then doing a flip. Because obviously your president's cheap and he's a crook or whatever. He doesn't want to spend the big bucks and stuff like that. And I'm not afraid to admit that. All right. So again, like Juve, back to Juve, winning 3-1 over Genoa, no surprise there. I mean, we see Genoa with doing these scrappy games and picking up the points. Obviously, like I said before, I would have been super happy if there would have been a draw. Then we saw Francesco get mad and stuff like that. But Francesco, to you, in the sense of being a Juve fan, don't you find it annoying as well? Obviously, because you've had free transfers that haven't worked out well.
Yeah.
And then also you're hearing these same stories again and again. Between Pogba and Dybala, Pogba.
If I hear Pogba again, I'm gonna shoot somebody.
I mean, I know that well, it's not really a new story. Like I've said, I know this is ludicrous, but I've been saying it since my PES 2018 days. Like, so yes, I do play PES. Sue me, guys. Dybala going to Inter, and yes, I have a Inter career mode with Dybala there, and just banging in the goals. I've said it forever, and I can say it again. I think he's gonna go. It may be ludicrous, maybe not, but again, we have a situation where Dybala wants more money. Ownership is the president and everything like that. Give him kind of playing hardball and stuff like that, and now Pogba is coming out of nowhere again and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go back," or "I'm not gonna go back," and stuff like that. So, you as a Juve fan, would you rather just say, "Okay, screw both you guys. We're gonna look somewhere else. Maybe not get a free transfer this time, or maybe get a free transfer this time, and then kind of go for there"? Or are you kind of still excited with this whole Pogba thing? Like, what's your take with that?
For me, I think I've been saying it for a couple of seasons now. I've seen like teams like Man City, teams like United, teams like PSG spend big every transfer window. And I always think, why can't Juve do that? Because we've won the Serie A 9 years in a row. We've been making it to the Champions League. We have like the money to do so. Like, obviously, I don't like, I can't confirm that. I don't have the financial bucks, but I'm almost certain we have the money to spend big. I think after this season, if Inter win the Scudetto, which it's not over yet, I still believe in the team. But but if Inter, even like these past 2 seasons have been close, so I think Paratici and Nelly Nedved, they need to sit down and finally just spend the bucks. I want Navas. I want Ousmane Dembele on the left. I think we need a left winger. Obviously, Neymar is not realistic here. I want Navas. I want Dembele. I want Locatelli, and then I'll be happy. Those 3 players, I'll be happy. I'll be parading around. Obviously, Pogba, I would love to see him come back, but I feel like if we could get Locatelli, a cheaper alternative, I think it would be better in the long run. Ousmane Dembele and Navas are going to cost a pretty penny. So again, I don't see us going for Pogba, but I think it's either Pogba or like 3 or 4 decent guys. So I would rather go for those 3 or 4 decent guys to build up the team.
Mm-hmm. Pretty dicey though with Dembele. Like now he's looking good on form, but like him and Coleman scare the hell out of me because of their injuries.
Yeah, the
Just
injuries are just the injuries are terrible.
just terrify me. And it's
Yeah,
like Serie A is not okay. Serie A is not as tough as the Bundesliga. We get that, but obviously we're known for our defense. So like Dembele coming up against like good thing like you guys got Bonucci and Cavini might be leaving next season stuff like that, but like just him getting hit hard by it just gives me anxiety for that player. So it would be nice to
If
you
he's
guys get him,
healthy
but
though,
like
if he's
if
healthy,
he's
it's
healthy,
great.
but that's the thing. If he's healthy, that's the thing. Like
But then
this guy's
again, I don't think he'd be that expensive because Barca are in debt. Like they owe. I
oh
know.
they need the money. Oh
I
yeah,
probably
know.
like
Yeah,
50, right? Something like that.
I
yeah,
can't remember what the figure is, but they still haven't paid Liverpool fully for the Coutinho transfer. They haven't paid us fully for the Pjanic transfer. They want Aguero, so if Aguero want, like reports Aguero wants to go to Barca to play with Messi. If they want Aguero with that big transfer, with the big wages, they need to sell players. And if
yeah.
Juve want Dembele, they need to sell players. He's gonna be cheaper than what he actually should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, Barca are in the Holland stakes as well. And
Yeah,
if they're gonna pull that off, they need to sell a whole bunch of players.
yeah,
And
yeah,
for Barca's point of view, it's worth it. I mean, if they could get rid of 4 or 5 players and get the the wonder kid or whatever you want to call it, I think that works. And for Juventus, I think Dembele's transfer value is not what it was at the beginning because when he
exactly.
made that again, he should have stayed in Dortmund. I think he
Oh
left
yeah.
too prematurely.
Agreed.
He was
Yeah.
incredible in the Bundesliga, but
Yeah.
he made that big move, and then as time gone on, his value became less and less because he kept getting injured and all these other.
Yeah,
So like even 2 years ago, you'd have to pay like 85 million for him. I think it's dropped so significantly, and they need to sell. It could go down to like 60 probably, but you could probably negotiate some sort of
Yeah.
deal with bonuses around like 50 million. And
Yeah.
even though that sounds expensive for considering he gets injured all the time, I think that
Yeah.
works for Juventus or anybody else who wants to get their hands on somebody like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's pretty fair to say. I mean, but that goes with all teams too. It's like Salah with Liverpool. It's like, okay, this is your chance now, dude. Are you gonna go or you're gonna stay, and stuff like that. So, I think again, I hate to say this. I think Juve are gonna be smart this time, seeing how that Scudetto is very far reached this time.
Mhm.
I don't care what Pirlo says. Like, accept the fact, man. It's done. It's over.
it's not
If you
done
stay
yet.
or
It's not done yet.
Not
Listen.
mathematically done, but it's basically done.
Listen, we all know these past 3 games, Inter have been playing horribly. They've been getting the win, they've been scraping the win, but they've been
Yeah.
playing like shit. Eventually, that's going to catch up to them, especially when they have Roma coming up, Napoli coming up, Juve coming up. As long as Juve keep stringing these results, Inter keep playing like shit, maybe Lukaku gets a knock or two, you never know.
Imagine.
But then
Just,
again,
forget-
if Lukaku or Handanovic get a knock, the president, whoever the president is, I don't know his name, he's just gonna call the leg up.
Fang Sang or something.
Yeah, he's just gonna call the Serie A and say, listen, Lukaku has COVID. You think we should postpone this game? And then that's gonna happen again. But
Wow. Shots. I was gonna say, yeah, maybe like Francesco has like a Lukaku voodoo doll on the back. Just fucking poking at him and stuff like that. Toss him in like.
I mean, yeah, yes, technically you could do something, but even if not, like it's still a mountain to climb. It's
obviously,
not
it's a big mountain. It's nothing easy. It's gonna be.
You
It's
gotta
gonna be
catch up
tough.
with Milan first. So it's just like
No, Milan's they're digging their own grave. I'm not worried about them.
I'm just messing around with that.
Yeah.
Like I think Juve can I don't know, reload their squad to the point where they could go back and try to win it again. I don't see a situation that we've seen for the last decade. I don't think we're gonna see any team run the league for 6-7 years in a row anymore. Just because I think the rest is catching up, and the gap.
Yeah, the rest is catching up now.
Yeah, the gap between the number 1 team and the number 3 team isn't massive. This season it is because of Inter, but Inter have a lot of players that are in their 30s, so this isn't going to last. Maybe if Inter win this year, which I think they will, maybe they can win one more, but I think they max out at 2. And you're going to see, obviously, Juventus are going to get better, AC Milan are going to get better, Napoli eventually will get better.
Roma's
Roma
getting
and
better.
Lazio will probably stay the same because we don't like to win titles, but the rest of the league will get better, and it won't because all the dynasties we've seen in Serie A have been like 4 or 5 in a row. Inter won 5, Milan won a whole bunch in a row with Capello, and then you had Juventus win 9. I don't think we're in that place anymore, but we could see a team or two win a couple. But even if Juventus reload perfectly, it's not going to be like 9 years in a row and then fall off and then another 9. It's just you could win it again next year or something like that, but I don't see a situation where they run the table the way they have over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know. If I see you, I can't see Juve win. Forget about this year or next win. I just can't see them lifting up Scudetto. I'm gonna like jump off of. I can't. Do you do you agree with the whole Morata not staying thing? What's going on with that now? Like, did you?
I think Paratici's playing with some dangerous waters here. I think he sees Aguero there on a free transfer. We all know Juve and their free transfers.
No
I think he's
way.
No way getting Aguero.
I think he sees that. And then he's like, if we get Aguero, Morata has to go. Morata wants to stay, but Aguero wants to go to Barca. So do I risk that? Do I get rid of Morata for Aguero and then it doesn't work out? But in all honesty, I think Morata, I compare him to Higuain in the mental state. Both players, when they're on their game, they're amazing. But when they're off, they are horrible. Like they can't do anything when they're off. So I think Morata this season, overall, he's been a success. But he did have that dry spell. Even against Genoa, I think he did have that dry spell where he can't pass, he can't dribble, he can't shoot, he can't seem to find open spaces. And I think when he was on that dry spell, that's when the board really needs to say, is this guy worth the 45 mil? Is this guy worth, or is there someone better that we could get?
It's mad expensive. Like, I'm not cheering for Juve to do well, but like, why would you spend 42 million on a dude who's not worth maybe 20? Yeah. It's I don't know. I just don't get why they would do that.
At the beginning of the season, it was looking like he was, but then he had the dry spell. I think that's what you have to.
At the beginning of the season, that's just a lot. Like, I know it shouldn't be about money, but that's a lot to pay. Like, what are you sacrificing by doing that? And I know we're in a market now where you're gonna have to pay big regardless, but that just seems like a lot for what he offers. And I think he's had some really good games this year. And obviously he scored like 15 offside goals in the Champions League. And then you obviously have him doing well in the league. But when he misses, when he's not playing well, it's just like it's like playing with 10 men. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I don't know what will happen with him. I assume that he will, if Juve doesn't buy him, he'll go somewhere else because I don't think Atletico Madrid.
No, I think they said that they're done with him.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I just feel like he's a glorified Fernando Torres in the sense of like. We see him kind of follow a similar path as him. You see him at Chelsea, terrible. Just trash at Chelsea.
Yeah, he just
garbage. It was so bad to see. And then you see him at Atletico, it's like, okay.
Kind of much better at Atletico.
Right, but like, again, no consistency. And then like, Juventus always had this dream after seeing him at 2015 season. It's like, hey, we want him back and stuff like that. And like you said, at the beginning, it was great. But I feel like his inner Fernando Torres is coming out, and it's just kind of knocking him down even more. So, it's going to be tough. They're going. I just want to hear from a Juve fan perspective. Like, there's one side of the fence saying, "No, we need to keep him. We need to spend that money and keep him." And then there's like the more logical side, as in yourself, saying like, maybe not. Like that's.
Well, the logical side is to spend the 10 mil and have him for next season on loan still. Because 10 mil, even if he doesn't work out, it's still 10 mil. He could come off the bench. We saw he could play good in Champions League. That's the logical side. But it's what Paratici's trying to accomplish here.
Plus, you could get Locatelli with the same price that the purchase option is on Morata, probably. I don't know. I think Sassuolo are going to try to rob people this summer. I really think I think they're going to ask for some ridiculous, but I think
for sure, especially after the Euros too.
Yeah, but Locatelli is probably. I don't know if he's quite at the level where you can get him for above 50, but you could get 45 for him, which is a few million more than Morata's. So you're just gonna look like clowns if you buy Morata for 42 million and then you can't get Locatelli.
Oh, I'll be so mad. I'd rather have Locatelli.
That's why you don't do it, because there's too much of a risk. If you think of the money that you would have to pay for that deal to be permanent, you had to think of the other options you could have and the other players you could sign for the same price. And when you think about it logically, at that point, it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I like, okay, Milan have their midfield, I get it, Cassie and everyone else, and blah blah blah. But they're still like, I feel deep down they're kicking themselves in the face a little bit, like letting them go to Sassuolo. It's like, I wish we kind of kept him and stuff like that. Yeah, he played a little bit good and he scored that historic goal, well, not historic goal, but a memorable goal against Juventus.
For his time in Milan, that was historic because there wasn't a lot of good stuff happening.
Yeah, it's like I kind of hope they had more time with him in a sense. It's like, I don't get me wrong, Sassuolo, they're a good team, but it's like, just imagine like if he would have stayed, or maybe he went on loan, he came back, and it's like, we have Locatelli at Sassuolo, but at Milan, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a loan option. Different. Yeah, loan option definitely would have been better, but
yeah,
he definitely had to leave. He definitely had to leave Milan.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, if he goes to Juve, obviously I'm not surprised if he goes. I mean, whatever. What would you do? Anyways, but yeah, we look at the next games in the fixtures here. Napoli, quick breeze against Sampdoria. We see some tension. We see some more tension with Gattuso and the president. We see the comments flying out and stuff like that, and it's just like shaking his head.
That guy is so. The president is such a.
He is.
Wow. Did you see the thing about how he's gonna sue the league if there's no fans?
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
He's like a cookie.
He's the same guy that canceled the game because two of his players had COVID. So he's on both sides of the fence.
When 6 general players had COVID,
he's on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just such a cookie cutter mafia boss. You know what I mean? Like, he's like a great, like the Walmart version, like a great value version of a mobster. You know what I mean? It's just like, you can't afford a mafia boss. So it's like, okay, let's go to Walmart and get this guy, and stuff like that.
He's an idiot. I remember the first time I realized it was when he accused Roma and Liverpool about having the same owner. He basically said they have the same owner. That's why Alisson went to Liverpool instead of Napoli.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that that's not why. It's because you wouldn't pay 75 million.
Yeah, like I don't know. From the guy, like, I don't know. From talking trash to Cavani to, like, he made it clear to all fans, like, we're not re-signing Cavani, blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, Cavani is getting older and stuff like that, but if I was a Napoli fan, I'd be like,
why not?
You guys can disagree with me, but why not?
Exactly.
Cavani, he's an animal. Still at 32 years old. This guy's an animal.
About how he's done this season.
Oh, he's a beast. And United would be so foolish to let him go to Boca Juniors. I know there's been rumors going a little off topic, but Boca Juniors want to sign Cavani. He's thinking about going.
Yeah, I bet it's false.
No, he's gonna stay for another year or two. He's just such a under the radar kind of guy. Like, you know, not too much bad publicity. He's not like a Zlatan that, like, every other weekend there's always something wrong with him, or the red card or this and that. This guy comes in,
does his job,
screams and yells after a goal celebration, cool, whatever, and then there you go. That's what Napoli should have got. They should have re-signed Cavani. Maybe he's not like a full-time striker, but just someone to support and just be there, and stuff like that. So, yeah, the president is not a very bright guy. Honestly, I think if we were all in, the Saw movies, if we were in a kind of like a situation, it's like Jigsaw comes up to the screen and you're like kind of chained up, and he's like, "Oh, you have 30 seconds to get out of this trap, or else you're gonna hear Rocco, the president of Fiorentina and the president of Napoli, read you bedtime stories for 10 hours straight." and you would want to like legit kill yourself. And he's like, dude, I'll run down. I don't care. Like I will throw myself into the wall 100 times.
I know it's
So-
worse. Rosso Camisio thinking that his team is going to make the Champions League, or just the nonsense that De Laurentiis spews on a constant basis.
That's so tough because it's like imagine these two had dinner together or like a brunch. Oh, God.
Just them, Lotito and Camiso.
Just ugh. Anyways, just two. They're not. They shouldn't be in Serie A football at all. Just leave. Okay, just leave. Moving on to Roma and Bologna, aka Bologna, Mr. Saputo's side. Tight win for Roma. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like Roma were kind of on a dominant side and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
your Spanish boy Elliot, like this guy, like
Borja.
what a player. Oh, like Real, like it's so funny because it's Real's like garbage is like another man's treasure. It's just crazy how we see the Real rejects and everyone's just picking through their trash. It's like, okay, we'll take this guy, and then you make him into like not I wouldn't say he's like a superstar, but he's on the way of getting there. Like if he continues this, he's gonna do like very well. And
he can score at the same rate, not the same rate, but it's similar to Dzeko if he stays there for many years and continues to get game time. I mean, he's got 14 goals, 7 assists this season. Mm-hmm. Spain's options for attackers in the Euros isn't very good. I'm not saying he should go, but I think he should get a look just based on the last year he's had. I mean, he didn't know that he was going to come in and be, the starter because of the Dzeko situation. He eventually took over and just started scoring. And again, he hasn't scored any big goals against, the top 6, but we don't do well in top 6 anyway. But, 14 goals, 7 assists in all competitions. That's like, I think, the 3rd or 4th highest goal total for like a striker on the debut season. Dzeko had 10 his first year. Moriel is 14. And Dzeko went on to score 116 goals. So, like, if we can keep him going and on form, and I don't need him to score 15 every year. He can score 12. I just need 12 a season for the next 5 years. We get him. We get either Bellotti or Vlahovic or somebody else to play alongside him. And I'd like to go to a 2-striker formation next season. I don't know how that would look, but and even if Moriel doesn't start next season, it's a good luxury item to have off the bench.
Exactly,
and, I think he's again, you talked about Morata and how the 42 million. And I think in terms of numbers, Moriel and Morata have had similar seasons, but Roma had the 15 million deal on him. And I think they're obviously going to pay it. There's no reason to wait another year and pay 20 a year from now. Just pay the 15, and then you at least have him, and then you try to get Bellotti or Vlahovic. I would rather have Vlahovic, but I'm fine with either one. We just need someone else up there. And but that goal was really nice because that was a big risk. I know Bologna fucked up on that play, but he made that little thing with his foot and like separated himself in an open goal. Kaplow.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's hope. I mean, that's gonna do well for them and stuff like that, and let's hope that luck from the first leg that it's fun.
Can't believe we won that game.
Yeah, back to the Roma day. Actually, like it's funny. You're on Facebook. I was like scrolling and I see a video. I'm like, oh, I gotta see this. He's like, oh, I gotta go, guys. I'm on my way to a funeral. Like Roma's gonna, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it is true. And then all of a sudden, like, what a game that was. That was insane.
By the way, there's no reason we should have won that game. We should have lost that basically by the score. Because if you look at the game, all right, so we do something really incredibly. We're playing well in the first half, and then we do something incredibly stupid, allowing Ajax to basically walk the goal in the net. I'm like, all right, that's it. And then we get a penalty, and I'm like, oh no,
Lopez saved you guys,
dude. I'm done with the goalkeeper business. I'm give him another year. That penalty itself earns him another year as Roma starter. But he saves that penalty. If he doesn't save that penalty, then it's over. And the funny thing is, if Roma go on to win this tournament, it's going to be because of that singular moment.
That moment was such.
And it wasn't just that moment. It was like because there was an avalanche of chances coming from Ajax, and he saved every single one of them. And then in the end, obviously, you see the Albania strike, which was out of this world.
Oh, so good.
we leave with 2 away goals. Again, Ajax against Real Madrid in the Champions League had Real had 2 away goals and they won 4-1. So I'm not counting it done yet. But as long as we play it safe and don't do anything so stupid, I think we'll get to the semifinal. And I'm excited about the semifinal because there's a story that came out a couple of days ago about Pellegrini. He was asked something in one of the press conferences he was doing about Man United if you get through that chance of doing that, and he said because he was basically saying that Man United, because he was a Roma fan as a kid, watching the 2 Champions League quarterfinals against Man United on television, and how Man United ruined his childhood and he wants revenge. So if we get to the semifinal, I'm not counting us through yet. Pellegrini is going to be on form, and I think he can outplay Bruno just because of all the tension he has about that whole situation. But obviously, with the Bologna game, I think it was smart. Roma benched most of the important players. Moriel, I'm guessing, won't start tomorrow. But it was a lot of youngsters. We saw Brian Reynolds for 68 minutes or whatever it was. First half was a little chippy, but I thought he looked much better in the second half. And then obviously we saw Pastore, which was weird for the first time in like a year and a half, which was I don't understand. I think they should have just given his minutes to like one of the other Roma kids on the bench. Yeah, so a good win. We get back in the winnings train. We're not making the Champions League, but I would rather make the Europa League than the UEFA Conference, whatever that is.
Oh God. Yeah.
But so I think Roma did okay. First half was horrible. Bologna just kind of had so many chances on us. And I just want to speak on this really quick. Mihailovic we love his story. He battled from leukemia, great coach, and what he was able to do at the beginning of but he's overrated. I mean, first of all, the quality of the chances that Bologna had in the first half were idiotic. They were taking shots from outside the box when they didn't need to. And I'm not putting that completely on the coach, but it's the coach's system. He should be teaching his guys to get inside the box to a broken Roma defense and finding a way through. And then, obviously, they had Musabaro, and then they had Svanberg, the Swedish midfielder. And he took out their 2 best players at the start of the second half, and Bologna did nothing until like the 90th minute. It is just I called it when I wrote my article over the weekend. I called it pure idiocy because you have to be stupid to do that. Why would you take out your best player in a game you're already losing? I don't know. I just think that was like the big takeaway for me is he's a good coach. I'm not saying he's garbage, but based on the way he's spoken about, as if he's an amazing coach that should be given more respect. No, you're wrong. Just because he has leukemia does not mean that he's a great coach. And I thought the way he handled the second half was just stupid. Like, I'm not a football coach, and it's just common knowledge. You don't take your top scorer out of the game when you're losing. If they were up 1-0 and they just want to kind of hold back and just park it, that's one thing. But they were losing the game because Moriel had scored right before halftime. It was just idiotic. And I like Bologna. I wanted them to do well this season, but and they're somewhere in the middle of the table, whatever. But I just think it's stupid. And I think a large part of this is, yes, he deserves some of the credit for Bologna, keeping alive. But they also signed Musabaro right as they were in the relegation zone, and then all of a sudden they weren't in the relegation zone anymore. They finished 10th that first season. Last year they finished in the top 10 again, or 12 or whatever it is. And I think Musabaro has more impact on that situation than Mihailovic, and I think Mihailovic is a decent coach. I'm not saying he's trash, but I just don't think he's in this tier that everyone seems to put him in. And when Musabaro leaves next season, we'll see exactly how much impact that Mihailovic had. But I just thought, and I'm obviously I want Roma to win the game, but when I saw him come off, I'm like, seriously? And then there was no injury. He didn't run and hurt himself. That was a tactical move. And I don't understand what the fuck he was trying to do there, but good for me.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone just surrounds his coach and he hypes him up a little bit. And again, nothing to knock him about his health journey and stuff like that. We praise him for that and stuff like that. But people, it's it's kind of weird to see people don't know how to separate the two at sometimes, right? It's like, hey guys, like, yes, you survived this. Does not mean though
Gets a
that
free pass everywhere else.
exactly and stuff like that. And sometimes we see these big pages, which I don't want to say who it was, telling football TV. They just blow these coaches up sometimes because of an event that happened or something or a tragic event, and they came out of it. It's like, okay, they're coach of the year, whatever. It's like,
But
guys.
if you look at the data, though, the data tells you that he has been an average coach that has not done anything outstanding.
Spectacular,
What he
yeah.
did was he signed Musa Barrow, who was at Atlanta at the time, not getting any game time. He comes in and blows up. And then you have Orsolini's not been good this year, but last year was very good.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he came from. He came from somewhere, though.
Came from us.
Oh, right. So you have two guys who blew it up last year for you, and obviously they were in the relegation zone for most of the season, and then, or at least the first half of the season, and then Musa Barrow started getting into form, and all of a sudden they weren't in any problem. We have to remember we played them beginning of the season. We were up 5-0 after 45 minutes, so it is basically Musa Barrow, the show basically, because I think he's a good coach. He's just one of these coaches that work well with a mid-table team. Not going to do anything crazy, not going to get relegated. That's where I kind of place him in the Serie A tier of coaches. But the fact that he signed an amazing player is the reason why they're doing so. And I think he gets too much credit for just making – and I don't even know if he made that decision. Whoever made the Musa Barrow decision, which was probably the sporting director, not him, because he had just got there and Musa Barrow was signed immediately after he had signed on to be the coach. So that makes me believe that someone else made that call. So the fact that he is there is the reason they're doing it, not because Mihailovic is just some visionary. And all due respect to Italian football TV, whoever else is making him the self-proclaimed king of the world. But again, I have so much respect for what he went through, but that doesn't make him a great coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
I think he's like Gattuso. I think as a motivator, he's an excellent motivator, especially since what he's went through. He could you see him on the field throwing his hat and getting passionate about the game. As a tactician, similar to Gattuso, he's meh. He's nothing special, but he's not that horrible at it.
He's not terrible, but he's just middle of the road. He's not an adjustment that he makes mid-game or in the second half isn't going to win you a game. Maybe he has a moment where he has to make this tactical switch that prevents a loss, but he's not going to win you a game based on adjustments. And there are coaches that are going to get fired this season, or probably going to get fired this season, that have better tactical awareness than Mihailovic. And Mihailovic is a decent coach. He's not terrible, but he's certainly not something to No big teams are saying, "Oh, I really need Mihailovic in my squad."
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say it's like these passionate coaches and stuff like that. Look at Inzaghi. That guy is too passionate. Like I've said it before and I say it again. That guy is it hurts my head watching this guy yelling, scream, and run up and down the pitch with his players on the side. It's like I'd rather have someone correct him if I'm wrong, Francesco, or anybody. Max Allegri, there was moments where he would sit there quiet, observe, and then there were times he would kind of scream, yell, whatever. But that would be that for me. That was the perfect kind of situation and stuff like that. And for me, the only kind of coaches that I would say that kind of got away with it, that made it not funny, but kind of enjoyable to watch,
Conte
was
What you have to think of the big ones real quick. If you need to have both, you can't be super passionate and horrible. You have to be can be super passionate and legit. Klopp is super passionate, runs all, breaks his glass. His team he's won practically everything. Regardless of what you think about the Premier League of Liverpool, he completely reshaped that entire team.
Yeah.
He's a world-class coach. And then you have Pep Guardiola, arguably on most people's list, the best manager in the world.
Yeah.
He's very passionate. And then obviously he has the other part of it. And there's very few that have both of those components, because you have Ancelotti, who doesn't show any emotion. And when Everton score a 90th minute goal, he's warming up his tea. Yeah. And then you have but all the other, and then I guess Conte is an example of someone who's passionate, but Conte can be hit and miss. in
Yeah.
certain situations. So I don't know if you even put him in that class, but you need both of those. And if you're gonna pick one, you need the tactical part, not just
Yes.
your man
Exactly.
running up and down the sidelines like
Uh,
even when he's not even even when he's not coaching, when he's in the stands and he sees he's like approaching the
Stupid,
door.
man. That's why I've always said I've always wanted Verona's coach, Judy whatever his name
Yeah.
is. I
Yours.
wanted him because yes, thank you. I wanted him because again, he brings that maturity, he brings that consistency. Yes, Verona's not, high up there as we want him to be, whatever. But I feel like he's gonna knock some sense into the boys in a quiet, deadly silent kind of way. And kind of like a leapy in a sense, right?
Hmm.
But my favorite person to do the passion and stuff like that was Spalletti when he's at Roma.
Mm.
Oh
Back
yeah, he was
in
great.
back in like 2006, 2008, and stuff like that. And then when he did his second stint at Roma too, and stuff like that, he seemed to be okay. But that was the highlight. I love to turn on the Roma game just to see his Spalletti because
Yeah.
he didn't talk no BS. He wasn't a Gasparini with excuses.
No.
He spoke real, and he was just a very genuine guy. And
Right.
stuff
And
like
think
that.
about this. I looked this up yesterday, today actually, this morning. The year that Roma had the 87 points and scored 122 goals, he made one signing, Allison for $8 million. He literally just completed loans and made one signing, and Roma got second place and scored 122 goals.
Yeah.
Show me another example of any coach that signed almost nobody and just had their greatest ever. And I have a love-hate relationship with Spalletti. There's things he did that bothered me, but I totally get what you're saying. There was this game in that year. I think it was Pescara, where the referee was telling him to shut up, and he was like, like making the little face.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then so I really think that's a prime example of it, and obviously I think he should be coaching somewhere. I think it's a little ridiculous.
He will be soon. I think he will
be soon. He'll make a comeback.
I think so too. But just I don't know. You can't have both sides of it. You need to, or you have to have both sides. You can't be passionate and be an idiot, and you can't be, not, you need to have the tactical awareness and no bullshit, no excuses, stuff like that. And again, I see your coach all the time, and I see Lazio friends of mine on Twitter who are praising him like he's the the Lord and Savior.
F off.
And I don't quite understand it because based on what I see on a week-to-week basis, there's just no evidence to suggest that he's the king of whatever.
No, like I just I don't even speak to the guy. Like it's just whatever. Quick time before we go. It's funny we mentioned Spalletti. I made a quick. I'm on FIFA 21 career mode, whatever. I did this alternate universe.
You hear that?
thing.
He's on FIFA now, guys.
Oh yes.
Breaking news.
No,
Here
I
we
only
go.
played Pez. I'll post it too. Like I'll post like my starting 11 and the coach. But let's say if Gasparini leaves, I made Spalletti coach Atlanta. And here's why. Here's why. Because I think that he's gonna bring that Gasparini. For me, Gasparini with Atlanta needs to be finished at some point. Like Elliot said, it's gonna nosedive.
Yeah.
And I feel like Spalletti's gonna, it's not like he's coming from anywhere big, and I'm not trying to knock him down. Coming out of kind of that break, I think that'd be a good fit because who else would they get? Atlanta is it's not like Allegri's gonna go or Sarri's gonna go and stuff like that. So
I think it could happen next season because this is what's gonna happen. Zapata. People are misconstruing this. Zapata's playing well because he's trying to jack up his price, not because he loves Atlanta. Because of what happened in the Real Madrid game. He's balling right now. He's playing the best football of his season because he's pissed off at Gasparini. Watch when he loses next season, what Gasparini's Atlanta looks like. There's going to be an open competition for fourth place next year just because of that. And I think this year they're going to get it because Zapata's just not letting anybody mess with him. But I think if he's like in 10th place sometime during the beginning of the season, then they could make a decision on that. But I'm not saying that Spalletti would get that job, but it does logically make sense based on what you're saying.
That'd be great. I think that would it'd be hilarious just to see what I'd be very curious of what he can do because, like you said, like that 2016, 2017 season, he only made that one sign. Like I felt like Spalletti was a coach that didn't like. I know he's not the one making decisions in the transfers, and he's part of it, but he's not splurging. He's very smart with it. Like look at him at Zenit, what he did at Zenit. You know what I mean? He did pretty good. Obviously not European wise, but in domestic, like in the Russian league, like they respected him. He did very well there, and
Brought Inter back
yeah,
to the promised lands of top four.
Yep.
Or Conte took over.
yeah. Well, I didn't like how the fact that he favored Icardi like nobody's business. That's the one thing I didn't like about him.
I thought that was everyone was. I don't know. I blame the snake more than anything else, but I mean obviously Icardi and Spalletti did contribute. When I say snake, I mean Wanda. Because she just says things to him and he just goes along.
He's a puppet. She's like the master. He's
well, he convinced Mancini too. Like when Mancini was at Inter, like he single-handedly convinced Mancini and Spalletti, these two historic coaches, to like say, "Hey, give me the armband," or "Hey, like start me." Well, look, pick me over as Osvaldo. Like Osvaldo was a great player. He was a veteran, and stuff like that. And you see there's a situation where Icardi, nowhere near open, or he's like open, ready to go. Sorry, Icardi was at the ball, went down. There's no way he would have made that shot. Osvaldo is right there, ready to make that goal. Important game too. I think it was against Juve. Icardi just blasts it over the bar, and you see Osvaldo giving it to him. Next thing you know, gets subbed off. That's it. That started a huge uproar, and Osvaldo was like pretty much fizzled out because of Icardi. So, but yeah, that's how a fucking cookie crumbles with that stuff. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on with Atalanta for sure. Speaking of them, Atalanta over Fiorentina 3-2. No surprise there. Fiorentina again scrappy. 100 steps back with the president named Rocco over there.
Great game, though.
Great game.
Very game.
Great game.
Vlahovic praise. Oh, I thought they were gonna come back and then maybe see with that pen.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have deserved to win though if Fiorentina had gotten that. I just think I don't know. For me, I just focused on the individual battle. It was Vlahovic versus Zapata. And for the moment, I thought Zapata was the better performance between the two. But the Vlahovic, you can see there's something special there, and he's coming at some point. But I really enjoyed that part. And I thought it was kind of ridiculous that Fiorentina was one of the teams being included on this national TV game. It just because of it's just a weird.
Just because of Camiso, because he's American. I think that was like a main factor in it.
Right, and it was just a strange game to have on national TV. But at the same time, it was. I think it was the best game of the week, other than maybe the Crotone game. I thought you had Zapata with the brace, you had Vlahovic with the brace, you had a lot of drama, a lot of great chances from both ends, and that was a perfect game. And we needed a game like that last week because it was the Crotone game, and then it was a bunch of just
I was ready to go to
football.
Sleep. Yeah,
I mean I
was ready to go to sleep.
Yeah,
for sure. And then the last game, Sassuolo Benevento, wasn't really to me. I was hoping that Benevento would still give a little bit of a fight against Sassuolo, but again, Sassuolo great for the win. They kind of needed it in the sense.
It wasn't like you saw those good games over the weekend, and the Sassuolo Benevento kind of just like died down the hype.
Yeah.
I think the whole week was kind of dry, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of goals, though.
Yeah. There were, but it's just
gameplay-wise, I
don't know. I always say this, but I'm the victim of watching more than one league, and when I see Serie A not be able to come to the table in the same way as some of the other leagues, it's just frustrating because last year was the league last year was so good. I mean, Juventus won the league, but it really came down
by 1 point, though.
Yeah, but it was so close, and you guys were in it most of the year until you just decided not to play after you got back from COVID break, and there were all these games where it was like 4-3, 5-4. Sassuolo beat Milan, and then Then there were games where like Roma beat Napoli. I mean, there's so many different storylines, and I think it's been good. Don't get me wrong. I still think it's the second best league in the world, but I feel like this season has lacked certain components where we saw last year it was just more intriguing. And as much as I'm happy for Inter to win their title, it's just not at this point in the season. It shouldn't be a team that's 11 points clear. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, dude! Like, can I start calling you Pirlo now? Like
Listen,
Jesus Christ!
Our motto is Fino alla fine for a reason.
Yeah, Fino sto cazzo. Okay.
Gotta have faith.
Yeah, you gotta have faith. Exactly. Yeah, George Michaels, you gotta have faith. Exactly. All right, guys. So this concludes our episode of the Calcioteers here. Hopefully this week of games will be a little more interesting and exciting. The Napoli Inter game looks really good. So
Juve
let's hope
Atalanta.
that kind of Juve Atlanta.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. I can't wait for that one.
I just played Buffon's in it.
Who do you guys play? Who does Lazio play?
Benny. Benevento.
Inzaghi versus Inzaghi.
Yeah, we got Torino.
Yeah, they're gonna. Oh yeah.
We should kill them.
Yeah, I think you guys are gonna do fine. I think I think the brothers are gonna lose each other's voices, or they're gonna lose their voices, screaming and yelling at each other. I think they're gonna run into each other up and down the pitch.
Can you imagine they're running up and down the pitch and you just both clash? The game has to stop.
What if they try?
They get the stretcher and stuff like that.
They start throwing hands.
Yeah, and they get that magic spray. It's gonna freeze.
The players are like, "What the hell is this shit?"
Oh yeah, they'll just be like, "Okay, we're done. Forfeit the match, whatever." Yeah. So until next time, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Ciao, guys.
Ciao.
See you guys.